Hi everybody, welcome to my wrap up for books 11 through 15 for 2017. As I said in my last wrap up video for January, I wanted to start doing my wrap up videos after every 3 to 5 books, and I've hit the 5 book mark, so I figure it's time to do a wrap up video. So the first book up this time was an ARC that I received through NetGalley. It is Dreadnought by April Daniels, and it was just recently released at the end of January 2017. I spoke a little bit about this book at the end of my Diversathon wrap-up video. I happened to start it at the tail end of Diversathon and finish it up at the beginning of February. Dreadnought is a middle grade novel about Danny, a transgender girl who ends up inheriting the powers of a superhero that inhabits her world. And with that transfer of power, she goes through a physical transformation, giving her the body of a girl. What she's always thought of herself as inside is now what people see on the outside. This book follows Danny as she tries to navigate the world, both with her new powers and her new physical appearance. Besides much needed transgender representation in middle grade and young adult novels, Dreadnought also deals with a lot of other heavy-hitting topics, including abusive home environments, as well as the fact that gender doesn't always mean solidarity. Dreadnought is also important because it is an Own Voices novel. The author, April Daniels, is also a transgender woman, as is Danny, the main character of the novel. While I think that the issues that it deals with are important, and I would encourage anybody who has an interest to read this book and hope that it finds its way into school libraries and onto, summer reading lists or other things like that, I did have a few qualms with the writing in this book. There were issues for me with both the pace of the story, starting out really, really slowly and then kind of rushing through at the end, and also with some convoluted sentence structures, which especially pulled me out of the action in the fast-paced sequences, or at least what were supposed to be fast-paced sequences. It really kind of broke up the pacing of the action for me. The next 2 books that I finished were both review copies that I received as part of the Goodreads romance group, Don't Buy My Love program. For those of you that don't know and are interested in reading romance, it's a fantastic program that the group runs, working with authors to get free review copies for its members to sign up, read, and then review within a 3-week period a lot of different types of romance books, all sorts of subgenres. So if you're interested in romance novels, I would strongly encourage that you check out that program. I will leave a link to the discussion section where the program is run on Goodreads. You do, however, need to join the group in order to see it, and it is an age-restricted group, so you have to be 18 years or older in order to join. The first of these 2 books was Jack of Thorns by Amelia Faulkner. Guys, I really enjoyed this book. The main characters, Lawrence and Quentin, who form the couple around which this novel is based, are just so lovable and endearing. You really can't help but fall in love with them. This is a fantasy romance novel. The main storyline deals with Lawrence having to deal with a jealous god that he accidentally summons early on in the book, who, in order to teach him about his powers, wants in return Lawrence to go around having lots and lots of sex. Unfortunately for the god, Lawrence is falling for Quentin, and Quentin comes with a lot of emotional baggage and is very averse to human contact. It's not stated explicitly as such, but when I was reading it, I read Quentin as falling somewhere on the asexual spectrum, which I think is pretty amazing. Given the premise, the book, funnily enough, doesn't include any sex and really focuses solely on the budding romance between Lawrence and Quentin. The most you're getting here is going to be a kiss. Overall, it was a really enjoyable story, and I can't wait to read the second book in this series, which is Night of Flames. The second book that I received as part of the Don't Buy My Love program was Edge of Desperation by Nat Kennedy. Edge of Desperation is a novella that is set in a world where some humans are born with special abilities. These people are called wielders, and unfortunately, men who are born as wielders live a life where they can't use those powers for fear of going insane. I don't want to give too much away about this story, given that it is only a novella length, but the main character's name is Reggie, who is a professor at a university, and he is a male wielder who has developed a very unique gift, which he wants to use to help other male wielders control the corrupting power of their power usage. The main relationship that develops here is between Reggie and a student at the university named Kyle, who is also a male wielder, and Reggie is trying to help Kyle figure out how to use his powers or control his powers in a way that will not make him go insane. Their romance is kind of set against a backdrop of these male cults in which they're groups of male wielders that get together to basically wreak havoc and perform criminal activities. And as part of the plot line, Kyle ends up getting sucked into one of these cults and Reggie goes to try to save him. This book is also non-existent in the sexual activity category, and in the description for the Don't Buy My Love program, one of the descriptors that the author used was pre-romance, which I feel really does fit the story well. The focus here is on the world building and the various implications of these wielders who have power, and the dynamic between the women wielders who can use their powers without consequence and who kind of rule over things, and then the male wielders who have this very severe consequence to using their power, and how that kind of manifests in the world. Overall, I enjoyed the book for what it was. I didn't think it was the most fantastic story I've ever seen, but I really did enjoy the world that Kennedy was trying to build here, and I'm going to continue reading in the series because I think it will get better, especially as we get more books in the series and hopefully longer books in the series. The fourth book I finished was the only physical book that I read in this set of 5, and that was Flying Lessons and Other Stories, edited by Ellen O of WeNeedDiverseBooks.org. For those of you who haven't seen this book making its rounds on BookTube, Flying Lessons is a collection of middle grade stories written by famous children's authors around a diverse set of topics and including many diverse characters. This anthology is the first to be put out by the WeNeedDiverseBooks.org group, and it really aims to help readers find themselves within the pages of books. I think that it did a fantastic job and hit the nail on the head. It was spot on. I was also delighted to see how many of the stories dealt with the importance of reading and literacy. That just kind of warmed my heart on top of the already diverse stories being presented in this volume. These are fantastic stories for both middle grade readers and readers of any age, and I would strongly encourage everyone to read this book. Alright, so the final book in this set of 5 that I finished at the beginning of February is another arc, and it's The Pants Project by Kat Clark. This book is due out from Sourcebooks Jabberwocky in March 2017. The Pants Project follows the main character, Liv, who is a transgender boy who is starting at a new middle school that has a uniform policy that forces him to wear a skirt. This novel follows his crusade to try to abolish the school uniform policy so that he can wear pants. This is an excellent book. I couldn't find any faults with it. It is so well written, and the story is engaging and compelling, and I think it will work wonderfully both for the target audience of middle grade readers as well as anybody who is interested in learning what it's like to be a teenage or tween who is transgender. The book does an excellent job discussing for middle grade readers the issues of gender identity, bullying, and homophobia. Overall, it's an excellent book, and I would encourage everyone to read it. Again, that's The Pants Project by Kat Clark, and it comes out in March 2017. And there we are. I've come to the end of the list. Hopefully this video is shorter than the last wrap-up video that I did. That's kind of the point of trying to minimize the number of books I talk about in these wrap-up videos. If you've read any of these books or plan to read any of these books, I'd like to hear about it in the comment section. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment box below. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.